1-800-WATER DAMAGE of North Dakota, we come prepared to restore your life back to normal. From burst pipes to unexpected mold discoveries or fire damage, when things couldn't be worse, we come to you with our best. With empathy, local expertise, and a truck full of seriously powerful equipment. 1-800-WATER DAMAGE of North Dakota. Restoring what matters most. 701-670-2022. There's no such thing as a small disaster.
Welcome to Valley News Now weather update brought to you by 1-800-WATER DAMAGE of North Dakota. Today we are tracking Arctic air that is really pushing into the valley here today. We're watching out for conditions that are going to be tough travel with blowing and drifting snow continuing. Though you can see behind me, we've got beautiful sunshine right now. The snow and the clouds from the cold front that moved through have moved on. And so it's really the wind stirring up the snow that's already on the ground, causing some blowing and drifting and issues out on the roadways here. So that's what we're watching out for as we are heading into the day today. And then the cold air moving in with that will continue to stick around for the weekend. So we have multiple first alert weather days in a row, so let's get right to it. So look at your weekend forecast starting with your Friday. We're looking at conditions that are going to be, rather tough again today with the blowing snow issues we've got going on and the wind that continues to be on the strong side. A cold snap continues into Saturday. Notice our temperatures Saturday never climb above 0, 19 below on Saturday for your low in Fargo, and other places likely into the teens below as well. And then heading into the afternoon, we only get to that high temperature of about 5 below 0. Now heading into Sunday, that may be our coldest day. We're looking at 25 below. I should say coldest morning, and we're looking at wind chills both mornings to 40 below with a temperature that eventually rises to 6 degrees. So I want to talk about our latest alerts. We did get an update earlier on this morning when we did the Valley Today. We had an alert just for essentially just for northeastern North Dakota and then into parts of Minnesota here. But conditions were getting tough into Lakes Country as well in Minnesota. So the advisory has been added for you there too. In case you did not see that, you are now in a winter weather advisory until 3 o'clock this afternoon for blowing and drifting snow. So that's going to end at 3 this afternoon. The wind is going to start easing up, and that will help, but we'll keep the cold around. So our other advisory is a cold weather advisory, and that's in effect through Sunday morning. It ends at noon, so it's through the morning hours on Sunday, and we're looking at wind chills that could get as low as 40 below. Here with this round. So Devil's Lake, down through Grand Forks and Fargo, over toward Fergus Falls. Almost every county in our viewing area is included in this. And even if you're not, you're still going to be cold here as we head into the weekend this weekend. And a reminder about cold weather advisory. That is a term, a newer term from the National Weather Service in their efforts to simplify the alerts that they put out. So instead of wind chill advisories or wind chill warnings and extreme cold warnings, it's all kind of together now. So what used to be a wind chill advisory is now a cold weather advisory. And that basically handles whether you have a wind chill factor or not. So say you have a temperature of 20 below, but the wind chill is, when you factor in the wind, it's 30 below. That's our criteria for our cold weather advisory. So that gets issued. If the temperature itself is 30 below, but there's no wind, we get a cold weather advisory. So it's the same language to describe how it feels, whether there's wind or not. So hopefully that made sense. And the same goes for extreme cold as well when we get into that warning territory with even colder feels like temperatures. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that at some point this winter, given how things have been going for us. Okay, so let's take a look at some views outside as we are tracking the wind and the blowing snow. It actually looks really pretty out there in Fargo. This is our camera at Newman Outdoor Field. You can see downtown in the distance really well, the campus buildings there at UND as well. Camera shaking just a little bit in the wind, and that will again be a factor for us through the afternoon hours. One camera I've been watching closely, this is along I-29 along the North Dakota-South Dakota state line. It's looking a little bit better, but you can see where some light drifting of snow has been occurring. And that's one of the issues. Your visibility might be fine, but if you get little drifts going by, that adds more ice, more snow to the road surface, and adds more slick conditions and possibility for having issues with it. So that's another concern as we're dealing with this blowing snow. And looking at our road conditions right now, you can see that we are dealing with a lot of blue on the map, indicating some patchy snow or ice on the map. And that's right here. So that legend there shows you patchy snow or ice, lots of blue. There is some pink for snow or ice covered roads, so completely covered. Zooming in on these areas, let's see here. We'll zoom in just south of Fargo along I-29. Back over along Highway 13 to Wahpeton, Breckenridge, also listed as ice or snow covered. And then down Highway 127 there to Fairmount, that is also listed as ice or snow covered. And then moving a little farther north, looks like it might be kind of icy around Grand Forks too, along I-29 heading into town, and then along Highway 2 heading out of town as well. So, and even if you're in the blue, that just means it's more patchy than continuous. So that's something to keep in mind. In fact, I'll pull up our website here and just take a quick look at road conditions. We can break down that map a little bit more through our website. So again, on our weather page, it's just valleynewslive.com/weather. You can access all sorts of things, including road conditions. So I'm going to click on that. North Dakota. The coloring for North Dakota is a little bit different than what we were just showing you. We're just trying to simplify it so it looks the same when we're presenting it to you. About road conditions, whether the roads are covered or not. North Dakota breaks it down a little bit more. So purple on the map means snow covered. Yellow means scattered ice. And again, that's what I was expecting to see around Grand Forks. There's some of that being reported there. Up by Devil's Lake, more scattered ice. By Jamestown, down through the Cooperstown area, it looks like. And back toward Findlay. And so, again, some issues with some ice buildup and snow buildup on the roadways. And then we can just zip on over to Minnesota. And, similar situation. We're looking at some areas in blue. And that means patchy snow or ice. If we take a look at our legend here, you can see that they're partially covered. And actually, if you go to this map, you can just click directly on it or hover over it. And it tells you what's going on. The roadway is partially covered with snow. Expect blowing snow. Visibility is reduced. And here's a view from a DOT plow. There's the sundogs. Sundog season. Starting to get a lot of pictures in of sundogs today. And you can see some sheen on the roadway here along Highway 2, indicating that there's some ice on the road in that area. So again, you can access all of that right through valleynewslive.com. So something to consider as we're going through the winter season. Now let's talk about this. The wind, it's been strong. We've had some moments where we've had gusts to 40 miles per hour. For many places in the valley, it's been 30 plus. Grand Forks, a current gust to 30. It's 31 in Fargo, gust to 35 in Jamestown, Sisseton 38, 32 Thief River Falls. So a lot of places where we're consistently getting these gusts that are topping 30. And then the wind speeds themselves, of course, the gusts are in yellow here. The wind speeds themselves, the sustained or steady winds, are in the 20s as well, even 31 miles per hour in Sisseton there. Looks like we don't have a visibility report from Sisseton, but you can see other areas where visibility is being reported as low, down to a mile in Langdon, 2 miles in Monoman, as well as Fergus Falls. Fergus Falls was having a lot more trouble earlier on this morning and still struggling a bit, but visibility was less than a mile there for a while. So I'm hoping we can continue to see improvement there. But that's where some of the blowing snow is reducing our visibility. And as we move forward here, okay, we're moving over to take a look at Langdon. We're at 1 mile visibility there. Harvey's at 2. One thing I wanted to show you is, we've been kind of keeping you up to date as we've been making our way through the early days of winter and comparing where we are snow-wise toward average. And Fargo's been making up the deficit we've been at for a little bit. And so now we're looking at 8.4 inches of total snow. And that's so far for the season, measured at the airport. Your amounts may be a little different at your house. And then average to date is close to 12 inches, so still running under, but we made up some ground there. And Grand Forks at the National Weather Service, perfect average amount, right at 10.6 there. Bismarck's been higher than average there at 16.1. So we'll continue to update you on this. But this also shows that, we've picked up a lot of snow lately, and that makes it, especially fresh snow, is a lot easier for the wind to pick up and blow off the ground. So here's a look at our radar and satellite map. We've cleared out in a lot of spots. You can see that in Fargo, in Grand Forks, up toward Devil's Lake. Still some areas in the east under some clouds. More clouds over in the James River Valley. We'll zoom out a little bit more. Storm track is bringing snow over to the Black Hills, parts of South Dakota. And that will continue to be a factor for those folks there. And the rest of us just in on the Arctic cold. So let's take a look at our temperatures. We've now dropped down to 0 in Fargo. Once we drop below, we're done for a few days. We're going to stay below 0. 5 below in Grand Forks, 11 below in Langdon, and still above 0 in places like Alexandria. We're at 5 degrees. It's 3 in Park Rapids. Looking at our wind chills, here's where things get even more interesting. Langdon, a wind chill to 41 below right now. That's dangerous. Again, just a reminder, we have cold weather advisories issued at 30 below. Grand Forks is right there. And a lot of us right now in northeastern North Dakota are in that criteria. And what this means is that, frostbite can set in a lot sooner. It can happen a lot sooner in a matter of minutes if you're not covered up and layered up here. So this is something to take seriously. Again, if you're going to be traveling today, it's a Friday, and a lot of people head out to their weekend destinations. Make sure that you are wearing your winter weather gear. You have it with you, an extra layer in your vehicle. I'm just seeing that a viewer saying that my volume is not very loud, so we'll turn that up for you a little bit here. Hopefully this helps a little bit more. Hopefully it's not too loud. And because I am pushing it beyond its limits right now, so hopefully that's not too much. But I want to make sure you can hear what I'm saying here. Looking at conditions that are going to be on the cold and dangerously cold side from this point on, essentially, as we work our way through the weekend. Okay, let's take a look at our afternoon planner. So we're going to be colder this afternoon than we were this morning. So even now, we're 0 now, Fargo. We'll be down to about 5 below around 4 o'clock this afternoon. And wind chills in the pink numbers there, 20s, 30s below, consistently below 0, with a mix of some sun and some clouds out there, though right now a lot of us enjoying sun. And that wind, it's going to be a problem through the rest of the day. It eases heading into tonight, but it doesn't go away completely. So we've got gusts through afternoon hours above 30 miles per hour. And then this evening it comes down, but we're still seeing some gusts into the 20s. That will still, visibility might get better, but it'll still cause some light drifting across roads. So still adding some ice to the road surface with those winds. So hour by hour planner, this is from 4:30 this morning. So we were watching these snow showers still hanging around. They departed throughout the valley today. We watched those move on. And now moving into midday, moving into the afternoon, we're looking at temperatures that are sliding below that 0 degree mark, heading into the 3 o'clock hour, many places that are sub-zero at that point. And then continuing on into tonight, more below 0 temperatures. It just continues with some clear skies. Where we might have a little bit of help is to the south and west, where we have some more clouds tonight. And that may keep us from dropping as much as other places and help keep the worst of the wind chills as well at bay. You can see there's some snow that's going to affect places south and west of Bismarck. And so the clouds associated with that may move in far enough to the east that we've got slightly milder temperatures. You can see the difference between Ellendale under the clouds and places like Boston in the clear skies overnight will be more into the teens below 0 in those areas. And wind. I do want to take a look at the wind planner across the region here today. We've got these gusts topping 30 miles per hour. That's what the numbers on this map mean. And so we're looking at 30 to 40 miles per hour through this afternoon, continuing on into the evening hours. We get into that 8 o'clock hour for tonight. And we'll still be seeing some gusts into the 20s to 30 miles per hour. It really isn't until late tonight that comes down. Okay, so I want to talk about the wind chill forecast now through the weekend. So these numbers on your map now are your wind chills. So it's not the air temperature, it's what it feels like to be outside on exposed skin. A reminder that wind chill is only something that can be felt and experienced by living beings, not inanimate objects, because basically what it is it's factoring in, calculating in the wind, and how quickly the wind and how quickly the wind carries heat away from your body, and how much cool your, goodness, you guys, I need another cup of coffee. So how quickly the wind carries the heat away from your body and how quickly your body cools. There we go. And the faster it cools, the faster it can freeze. And so we talk about how it feels to be out in a certain type of wind because it causes you to cool down a lot sooner here. And so anybody who generates heat, animals and people, that's where we're factored into the wind chill. And so the lower the wind chill, the more quickly you'll have frostbite setting in. So that's why we talk about it. You know, every year when we get into winter time, I hear people say, I don't want to hear the wind chill, I want to hear the actual temperature. But it is important to talk about it because this is the actual real impact of the cold and the wind on your body. And it's a big factor to consider. Okay, so now that I hopefully explained that well for you here, let's get back to the numbers. Looking at wind chills that are going to be in that, again, dangerous range heading into tonight, especially in the north. This is afternoon today. We're going to continue on into this evening. You can see wind chills, not so much of a problem in the south and west, and that's why not everybody in that area is under a cold weather advisory. But heading into tomorrow morning, everywhere else, it's 30s to 40 below to start off the morning. So that's going to be tough. Let's move on into Saturday evening. Again, we stay below zero all day Saturday. Wind chills will be 20s to 30 below through the day on Saturday. And then once we get into Saturday night and into Sunday morning, we'll have the potential to see wind chills drop 30 to 40 below yet again on Sunday morning. So it's going to be rather cold. Moving on into the 11 o'clock hour, you can see wind chills starting to improve out to the west, and we'll see that happen. But really through the day Sunday, we'll still have some pretty cold conditions, even as our temperatures start to rise. So looking at our 3-day planner, first alert weather day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, specifically for the morning, because that's when we'll have some of our coldest numbers. And so for today, you know, we're watching our temperatures drop. So when we would typically see our afternoon high, we're going to be below zero, 5 below around that afternoon time frame. And then heading into Saturday, 5 below our high after dropping down into the teens below zero for most areas. Wind chills 30s to 40 below. Coldest wind chills will be experienced overnight and in the morning hours. And then Sunday could be our coldest morning so far. We're talking about 25 below for our low temperature on Sunday in some areas, again, into those 20s below. And then we start to recover. We start to see temperatures go up. And it goes up pretty far here heading into next week. Monday, back into some teens above. And then Tuesday, a surge of warm air. And what a difference that will make. We go from 25 below to 37. We're talking a 60-plus degree temperature difference, 62 to be exact. And so that's a huge leap here, especially during the winter months. And so we're warming things up on Tuesday, heading into Wednesday. And then that's also when we'll be watching out for our next chance for some snow, temperatures coming down, kind of leveling off, we'll say, heading into next week. Once we get the second half of next week, once we get through the warm-up to start off the week. So some big ups and downs. Winter solstice looks very wintry on the 21st as we head into that last weekend before Christmas. So hopefully you're getting along with your Christmas shopping. I know I've got a lot of work to do, and I'm not sure I want to head out this weekend to do it with the cold that's coming up here, but a good idea to make sure that you are ready for it. If you do need to get out, I know we just got all this snow, and winter and snow sport lovers want to get out and do some snowmobiling. We want to ski. We want to just get out and enjoy the wintry weather. Well, it's going to be dangerously cold, so not telling you not to do it, but make sure that you are layered up. You've taken all those precautions to stay safe and prevent frostbite during these events, and you know the signs of frostbite and hypothermia. That's really important into the winter months. And you're just, you know, taking care of yourself and taking it easy out there in the cold. So this weekend, you know, might be a good weekend to stay indoors and stay cozy. But yes, if you have to get out, better time to do that would be more toward the afternoon hours where it's not nearly as frigid. Early morning is going to be pretty tough here this weekend. Otherwise, we're looking pretty quiet. I'm hoping we see more of this sunshine that we've got behind us, so it's nice and bright for us for the weekend ahead. And again, looking out for a little relief toward the end of the forecast heading into next week with those temperatures climbing heading into Tuesday. So, we'll leave you with that. We'll have another update coming up this afternoon on the blowing snow conditions that are ongoing here in the valley. If you must travel, again, make sure you're checking the VNL weather app. Make sure you're checking the road conditions on the DOT maps, making sure that you know what to expect as you head down the road. And, all of the other tips. Avoid cruise control. Make sure you are being careful and not following too closely to folks on the road. All of that stuff that you know by now. We've had a couple of winter weather events to be reminded about winter weather driving, but always good to just kind of pass along that reminder too. So have a safe weekend, have a happy weekend, and we'll be back here next week in the morning to talk about the warm-up that will be kicking in for the first half of next week. In the meantime, stay warm while you're out there. This has been your winter weather update brought to you by 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE of North Dakota.
So when you call 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE of North Dakota, we come prepared to restore your life back to normal. From burst pipes to unexpected mold discoveries or fire damage, when things couldn't be worse, we come to you with our best. With empathy, local expertise, and a truck full of seriously powerful equipment. 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE of North Dakota. Restoring what matters most. 701-670-2020.